French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife are suing the right-wing commentator Candace Owens for defamation. Our contributor Wyatt Sharpe has the story.
It's a headline-grabbing legal battle that's as bizarre as it is significant. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte taking on American media personality Candace Owens, not in a European court, but in the United States, in Delaware. The lawsuit centers on a video series released by Owens earlier this year titled Becoming Brigitte, where she accuses the French First Lady of being a man, part of what she describes as an elaborate cover-up, and even goes so far as to suggest that there is CIA mind control involved. Of course, these are wild and offensive claims, and they're not new. They are claims that really first circulated years, even decades ago, in the dark corners of French conspiracy circles. French courts have already ruled that they are defamatory, but Candace Owens revived them and broadcast them to a global audience, including millions of her social media followers. It's important to note because her followers, of course, are describing this as some free speech barrage that she's going down and that everyone should allow her to go on and make these offensive claims. But this isn't a case on its own about free speech. These weren't just opinions or controversial takes. They were clearly false and malicious accusations. The Macrons say that it's caused them significant harm, reputationally, emotionally, and in terms of their own personal safety. There's been a number of different examples of French authorities who have come out and who have had to, go against people and who have had to go after people who have been really, kind of spreading these examples of controversial takes that have been percolated on social media. They're pursuing this lawsuit under American defamation law, which requires them to prove actual malice, meaning that Owens either knew that the claims were false or showed reckless disregard for whether or not they were true. But it really matters a lot as well beyond the courtroom, and that's something that isn't being discussed a lot right now, because it's another chapter, again, looking at kind of the broader picture here in how the story of influencers and online personalities are really testing the limits of truth by spreading information that, again, is demonstrably false and that oftentimes is, being circulated on social media because they're trying to appeal to certain audiences that will live in their echo chambers and take what they are saying, again, even if it is someone's own personal opinion, to be fact. And I think there's this growing belief among some in the media space that as long as you yell free speech loud enough, you can say whatever you want to say, no matter how false it is, no matter how harmful it is, or how defamatory it is. And again, these are claims that are just completely baseless and completely false. This case is different because it's fighting back and it's saying that there are lines that are in place and that people have to follow those lines without, being able to play the victim and immediately shout free speech whenever you get called out for making a claim that is, again, demonstrably false. It shows that even if you have a big audience, even if you're speaking from a different country, of course, Candace Owens is from the United States, that you're not immune from the consequences of knowingly spreading lies and things that are false. This outcome, it looks like anyways, right now could set a precedent. It may not reshape U.S. or international law overnight, but it certainly does send a message, again, especially to other people who live in kind of the same orbit as Candace Owens, and that is that being a political commentator doesn't give you a license to defame, and that even if you go after people and if you target people, even people who are in power and who are, oftentimes kind of immune, I think it's fair to say, to various people coming out and saying different things. It doesn't affect them very much because they're in the public eye. When you come out and make baseless conspiracy theories like what Owens has done, certainly that is, an exception to that rule. And it's, looking like right now anyways, that this lawsuit that is likely to come is something that Candace Owens is going to have to prove to herself. But while it may seem like this is kind of tabloid drama on the surface, the lawsuit itself is really, I think it's fair to say, about accountability and how people approach themselves in the digital age, and what the courts and the public are ready to actually come out and finally just say that enough is enough as it relates to, again, not shouting free speech whenever you get called out. We'll send it back to you.